The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. They went on from there and passed through Galilee. He did not want anyone to know it, for he was teaching his disciples, saying to them, "The Son of Man is to be betrayed into human hands, and they will kill him. And these 3 days after being killed, he will rise again." But they did not understand what he was saying, and were afraid to ask him. They came to Capernaum, and when he was in the house, he asked them, "What were you arguing about on the way?" But they were silent, for on the way they had argued with one another, who was the greatest. He sat down, called the 12, and said to them, "Whoever wants to be first must be last of all, and servant of all." Then he took a little child and put it among them, and taking it into his arms, he said to them, "Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me welcomes not me, but the one who sent me." The true gospel of the Lord. Praise to the Lord, the Word, the light. Okay, be seated, please. So I say good afternoon to you. A chapter before our gospel lesson this afternoon, Jesus asked his disciples, "Who do you say that I am?" And Peter, speaking for the group, got it right. "You are the Christ." But what does that mean? I would imagine that most of us this afternoon would give Jesus the same answer. But what does that mean? It takes a lifetime to try and figure out, does it not? And a lot of mistakes. At the beginning of Mark chapter 9, we see that Jesus takes Peter, James, and John up a high mountain where Jesus is transfigured before them. And then they watch in amazement as Jesus is joined by Moses and Elijah. When they come down the mountain, they find the other disciples trying to drive a demon out of a boy, but they could not. But when Jesus rebuked the evil spirit, the spirit shrieked and came out. And in verse 38 of Mark chapter 9, an outsider is casting out demons in Jesus' name. So, we come upon our lesson for this afternoon. Jesus says to his disciples, "The Son of Man is going to be betrayed into the hands of men. They will kill him, and after 3 days he will rise." But they didn't understand what he meant and were afraid to ask him about it. Instead, as they're walking down the road, they were arguing among themselves. And what were they arguing about? Who will be the greatest? Now, sitting down, Jesus called the 12 to him, which is an indication that this is important. This is central to what it means to follow Jesus. It goes to the core meaning of life and what it means to live in the kingdom of God and to be the church. It also shows how radically revolutionary Jesus' teaching is. It is one of the greatest overturnings in all of history. All of our assumed ideas about importance and greatness become dust. All the boasting and the pomp and circumstance of power are irrelevant. Jesus stops the entire human parade and puts it in reverse. Indeed, what Jesus says so upsets the way society views things that we might literally stagger at the thought of accepting it as our way of life. Clearly, Jesus' disciples had thought of their calling to follow Christ as an opportunity for privilege, power, and position. At this point, discipleship meant service, but service to them. The last thing they can think about is the kind of sacrificial outpouring of self that Jesus is about, that the cross is all about, that being a Christian is all about. And this confusion, this case of missing the point, if you will, has continued down through the ages. How hard it is for us to accept a crucified Lord instead of a conquering king. How reluctant we are to accept the cross of Jesus as the supreme revelation of God. But if we do make a detour around the cross, we miss the way to God entirely. Like the disciples, how many of us have been afraid to ask for the meaning of Christ's death? Afraid because of what the answer might be, that we might get in too deep. Because the answer makes the acceptance of the cross the law for life. The answer means that everything must change. It points to the extreme. It's dangerous. It upsets everything. It isn't comfortable. It's about living life as a sacrifice, of giving our minds, our hearts, our time, and our strength as ransom for others. It's hardcore. In a world in love with itself where we are told that it's okay, actually it's great, to promote ourselves, the disciples look pretty normal. For millennia, people have thought or fought about who will be the greatest. And these arguments have moved from the bow and arrow to nuclear bombs. And because of this, nations and people stand in ruins. All of us are continually bombarded with advertising meant to bring to the surface and legitimize envy, covetousness, pride, vanity, and greed. Education is often just a means to sharpen our claws in the battle of competition. And the urge to be the greatest can even get inside the church, with the desire for material prosperity and social prestige. Think and shudder at how these things often displace the desire to seek and save those who are lost. A poll of tithers in a mainstream denomination revealed that 90% of those who gave expected something in return. They mentioned snappy sermons, rousing choir anthems, and a full range of programs for the family. There's nothing wrong with these things. We should and we do seek to be the best we can be, but very few of the people in the poll mentioned service, and no one mentioned suffering. Jesus asked the disciples, "What were you talking about on the road?" And this is a question which ought to be truly unsettling. What are we discussing as we journey with Jesus? What is the main concern of our conversations? What is deepest in our hearts? What do we care about most? Are we missing the point? So, sitting down, Jesus called the 12, and Jesus calls you and me as well, and says, if anyone wants to be first, he must be the very last, and the servant of all. Now, suppose Jesus would come to our community to pick out the leading citizens. Who would they be? Who would they be measured, if you will, by Jesus' revolutionary standard? Surely the majority of his candidates would be quote-unquote nobodies, people whose names have never been in anything more notorious than a telephone book, but are already written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Perhaps on Jesus' list might not be the president of some big company, but the president's janitor. Perhaps it would be someone who visits the sick and those in prison. Maybe it would be a Sunday school teacher who desires no reward, but just wants to serve and let others know they are loved and cared about. Maybe it would be someone who has little but gives much. Would it be someone who smiles despite the difficulties of life and thus brightens other person's days? Could it be someone who prays for and with others? Could it be the street evangelist or the person who invites others to come and worship God with them at church? Maybe it is the person who takes time out of their busy day to help a stranger in need and distress. Could it be a person with a listening ear? Someone who is willing to be present for others during difficult times? Could it be anyone who brings the love of Christ to others in selfless service, without judgment and a self-righteousness? Is it me? Is it you? One way of putting this question to ourselves is, are we living before Christ or after Christ? Are our ideas of greatness the same as those that we had before we followed in his footsteps? Or have they really changed? What does it mean to say Jesus is the Christ? It takes a lifetime of following and learning from him to try and figure that out. It has been said that we often pay lip service to the view that the first shall be last, so long as we are not challenged to put the view to the test of accepting someone whom we consider a real outsider. And one of the most difficult tasks for volunteers at soup kitchens, homeless shelters, and other service organizations is to learn to treat with dignity the people that they are helping. So, how do we learn to follow in Jesus' footsteps? How do we come to understand the message of the cross? Jesus has an answer, and it comes in a picture lesson. He took a little child and had him stand among them. Taking him in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but the one who sent me. In our society where children are the apples of their parents' eyes, the virtual prince and princesses of the family, we might be apt to miss Jesus' point. In Jesus' day, children weren't the symbol of innocence like we think of them today. Instead, they symbolized powerlessness and vulnerability. Children were non-persons. There was very little interest in children in Greco-Roman society. Childless Romans who needed heirs often adopted adults rather than children. Children were without status, and they had no power. They could do nothing for themselves or others. Indeed, in order for children to survive at all, they must be served and served and served with love. So Jesus tells us that whoever welcomes and accepts a powerless person of low status has welcomed him. And whoever welcomes him does not welcome him, but the one who sent him. Now let that one sink in. Who are the powerless and so-called non-persons in our midst today?
Hi.
Who needs help?
Hi.
Who has been overlooked? Who is hurting? Who is hungry? Who is lonely? Who are we called to welcome and serve? The child represents Jesus. Anyone who is powerless represents Jesus. And everyone is to be welcomed. The way we treat the least of these is indeed a good measure of our discipleship. There is no worldly profit in serving the so-called useless people of the world. Let me say that again. There is no worldly profit in serving the so-called useless people of the world. But did not Christ himself come to earth and lay down his very life on a bloody cross in order to welcome you and me? This is the character of God. God serves all people despite our absolute inability to do anything for God. And Jesus says that people who treat others as God treats us are great. Why? Because they are living like God. And God is great. Amen. It is now time for everybody's favorite part of the service. The announcements. All right. Let's get right on to it. You can make a difference. We are a church of tithers and donations. That's what keeps us going. That's all we've got. And without you and your generous hearts, we would not be here. And we're asking for your help yet again. If you can find it in your heart to donate to the Dallas Universal Life Church, we would greatly appreciate it. It pays for things like the candles, the lighting, the equipment that we have. If you like what you're seeing here, if you like what you're hearing here, and you want us to continue on our journey here, spreading a message of loving Christianity, loving all-inclusive Christianity, and love, period, please consider donating to us. It's been a rough couple of years, and we could really use the help. I know some of you are listening out there in podcast land, as I call it, and YouTube land, and if you listen to us and you like where we're going, you like what we're saying, you like our message, you can really feel what we're feeling, please consider donating, because I don't want us to go away. So please, go to DallasULC.com and click on donate. It's very simple. It's tax deductible, and it really is a good cause. Every bit of your money goes directly back into the church to help us keep going. Okay, DallasULC.com, click on donate. Now, it always happens. I get somebody that, well, we're not going to do that. We're changing it up here on me. See, they changed my script on me. I don't know what to do here. Okay, well, you can do that. I can go with it. Pray at DallasULC.com. Pray at DallasULC.com. That's easy enough. If you have a request for prayer, that's the email address you need. Pray at DallasULC.com. Anytime you can ask that you remain anonymous, or you can give us your name. You can ask that your prayers be said during our weekly prayers. We pray every single day here at Dallas Universal Life Church, or you can ask that your prayers be entered into the prayers intercession and be said on Sunday with the rest of the congregation. Again, you can remain anonymous or give us your name. Pray at DallasULC.com. Compliments, concerns, suggestions, or complaints. Compliments, concerns, suggestions, or complaints. It's very simple, folks. It's another email address for you. Feedback at DallasULC.com. Feedback at DallasULC.com. You go into those 4 things going on: compliments, concerns, suggestions, complaints. Send us an email. We'll be glad to take care of that for you. They're all very important, and we do want to hear from you. Hey, did you know we had a podcast? We have a podcast, folks. Let me tell you, it's been going on strong for about 4 years now. And there's something about the podcast. I can't explain it. When you hear our podcast and listen to our podcast, you catch different things about the sermon, about the service, than you normally would with watching our service on YouTube or any other venue that you're watching it, or even being here in person. It's different listening to a podcast. I don't know why it is. I just find it very different. If you don't believe me, go try it out. And, if it's not different for you, okay, I'm sorry. Just let me know. Maybe I'm missing something. But check out the podcast. I think you'll enjoy it. And how do you do that? Well, that's very simple. You just go to your favorite search engine, your Google or your Yahoo or your, what is the other one? MSN. What is MSN now? It's MSN is something else though now. They call it something else instead of MSN. But no. No, it's Bing. Bing. That's right, Bing. Go to Bing. It's Microsoft. Yeah, Bing or Yahoo or Google, and type in Your Path with Bishop Mark. Your Path with Bishop Mark. You can also go to Alexa and say, Alexa, play Your Path. And she'll play Your Path with Bishop Mark. I think it's kind of cool. So if you don't want to do it that way, you can always go to one of our wonderful providers out here that put on our Alexa, stop. She's going to start playing Your Path for us. Okay. You can also go to one of our wonderful providers out here that provides our services for us and puts this out there so that you can enjoy it. And those are Anchor by Spotify, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, CastBox, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and TuneIn. Check them out, folks. Check out our podcast. I think you'll enjoy it. Tune in. That's right. I turn that music on low and it's still kind of loud, but that's okay. Y'all can hear me over it. We've been doing the Walk for Alzheimer's, the Walk to End Alzheimer's for 5 years now. And that's actually, we've been doing the walk since before the church actually started. So this is our 6th year marching. The church is 5 years old. So, this is something that's very dear and near to our hearts. We're less than 2 months away from the walk. The walk is coming up. So let me just go through it again with you. I'm going to do this every week. You've got to get this down. If you haven't signed up, please sign up. If you want to join us, you want to donate to us, please do it. And I'll give you that information here in just a moment. And Gavin has signed up now. Marshall, of course. Marshall's the only one besides me who has been there all 5 years. All 5 years. It was just he and I last year. So, you were before last. It was just he and I. Last year, there were quite a few of us here that marched here in the neighborhood during the pandemic. But the year before, it was just Marshall and myself and Munchkin. That was a trip. Anyway, some pictures going on behind me. Let me just tell you a little bit about what happens that weekend. It's really a great weekend. It's eventful. It's fun. But it's also for a wonderful cause that we need to find a cure for. Okay, so the event, November the 10th, 2021. That's November the 10th. Less than 2 months away, folks. On that night, we will have the annual Walk to End Alzheimer's sleepover here at the church, okay? Very simple. The door closes at 10. That's all you need to know. If you're here after 10, you're not going to get in. You're going to have to meet us downtown the next day, okay? There's no in and out. Door closes at 10. We'll open back up in the morning and we'll head down to the walk, okay? Now, November the 11th, 2021. November the 11th. We will depart the church no later than 7 a.m. to head to Dallas City Hall, where they'll be having the walk this year. As of now, that's the way it stands right now. As long as there's no other major, pandemic issues or any health issues like that, it will be at Dallas City Hall, and we will leave here at 7 a.m. to head down there. Registration is at 8 a.m. The reason we're leaving it kind of early, guys, is because look, I don't know.
At the Walk to End Alzheimer's, Munchkin's down here with us. Hey, Munchkin. Hey guys, everybody say hello. 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 It's a cold, wet morning here, but we're here. So, hey, this is Dallas Universal Life Church at the Walk to End Alzheimer's. Hey, Facebook, check us out. DallasULC.com.
That's right. Hey, Facebook, check us out. DallasULC.com. Okay, look, the reason we're doing that, leaving that early, is, look, it's about a 20-minute drive down there, but we don't know if we're going to have cars or not here. I mean, honestly, it's kind of a, we have to kind of rely on other people we don't have a church bus, okay? So we have to kind of find our way. And if we have to, we'll take an Uber down. If we have to, we'll take the train down. It's just what we have to do to what we have to do. We're going to get there. We're going to walk. And no matter what it takes, we're going to get there, okay? So that's why we plan on leaving a little early. Plus, it didn't hurt us to get there a little early and get our bearings and be comfortable and take our pictures and do all that kind of fun stuff before the service, before the festivities begin, okay? Registration at 8 a.m. After that, the opening ceremonies are at 9 a.m., which are always very moving. And then at 9:30, the walk to end Alzheimer's will commence. Okay, we'll do the walk. We'll head back here to the church, relax a little bit, have a little bit of fellowship. And then please don't forget Sunday, November the 12th, we do have service again at 3 p.m. It's a good time for us to come back together, kind of regroup, and pat ourselves on the back a little bit for what we've done. I think it's a good time for us to just take a breath after a long weekend, okay? And it's a good weekend together. I think if you'd like to join us, please do. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. It's very simple. You just go to http://act, ACT, which is act.alz.org/go-to, that's GOTO, /Dallas ULC. Okay? It's right here and right there. http://act.alz.org/GOTO/Dallas ULC. Okay? That's for donations if you'd like to donate to the team or to an individual team member, or if you'd like to come and join us. You can do both there. You can sign up for it, whatever. Come join us. I would love to see a big group of us and meet some new people. It's a great cause, and we would love to have you join us. Okay? All right. A little video going on there. A lot of memories over the last 5 years, and we've been hot, we've been cold, we've been wet, we've been tired, we've been lost. Yeah. So, all right. So, like I said, the Walk to End Alzheimer's is November the 11th. If you want to sign up, there it is, act.alz.org/go-to/Dallas ULC. Okay? There it is. All right, let's not do that again and move on. Here we go. Okay. All right. Again, listen, this pandemic is ridiculous. We could put an end to it if we would just become more hygienically aware of ourselves and our surroundings. Do your part. Wash your hands for at least how long, Gavin? 20 seconds. Which is just how long that song was. 20 seconds. It seems like a long time to sit there with the soap and the lather and you're doing this and just on another day and you're singing da-da-da-da-da. It's a long time. Then you put your hands under the water, rinse it very well, dry them. Then you go to the hand sanitizer if you have it and use it, okay? Look, we are all adults. Hopefully some children or children, even if you're whoever's watching. Look, this isn't difficult. This isn't rocket science, and it can save lives, okay? So look, wash your hands. I don't care if you're going to eat something, if you've just eaten something, if you're preparing food, if you're walking the dog, if you're petting the dog, if you're going to the bathroom, coming out of the bathroom, if you're picking your nose, if you're scratching your whatever, okay? Look, wash your hands. Your hands touch everything, and everything is dirty. You have to look at it that way. And when you do this and touch and you put your, what are you doing? Or you touch somebody else and they're touching. Look, wash your hands, folks. Extra. Wash your hands more than usual. Much more than usual, because the more we do this, the quicker this can come to an end. We can get back to some sort of life that we used to know. Okay? Wash your hands. Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated and continue to practice social distancing. Wear your mask. If you feel that you're sick, stay home and see your doctor. Okay, those are important things to remember. Let's get this over with. Again, I don't want any more phone calls about people on respirators and people's parents dying and people being found in their apartment dead of COVID. I'm tired of this. I think we all are. And we can't let this go on the back burner. We cannot let this be complacent about this. We've got to continue to stay vigilant. If you're vaccinated, great, but continue to wash your hands, continue to not spread this germ, okay? Please, wash your hands, get vaccinated, please. Okay, now, last week I had an announcement, and we're going to go over it again because I want to make sure that everybody understands what's going on here, okay? First of all, what do you think of the new digs, the new surroundings? Not bad, huh? It's kind of looking nice. I think it's right out of a 90s gay bar, but that's okay. Yeah. Okay, we're kind of going a little more modern. I'm trying to kind of go with the flow a little bit and get things a little less. We're trying to appeal to the masses a little more and to make it more comfortable for people to worship with us. And I think it's time. Churches have to change. The church that I grew up with didn't know the meaning of that, and we're stuck in doctrine that was thousands of years old, and it didn't work for a lot of people, including me. I like to know what I'm praying and not just regurgitate words, right? So we're going to go a little more visual here. We're adding some stuff. This is kind of where we've gone right now. It'll probably change. Knowing me, I'll probably tweak it and move it around and make it a little better, hopefully. But if you like it, hey, if you're out there in Facebook land or you're in YouTube land or listen to our podcast, you can't really see it, but it's kind of cool. You got to check out the video if you can't see it. Send us a message. Let us know what you think about it. Okay. So we've gone to this change ahead that we've got coming up. Beginning September 19th, 2021. That's today. That's today's service. Okay. It's very important. Communion will be offered on the third Sunday of the month and on special feast days, holidays, and special occasions. Okay. Now, some of you are asking, well, why are we doing that? Why are we reducing the number of communion days? Well, it's very simple, kind of. Attendance. The service, I'm being told, is too long in combination with the round table, and our attendance has suffered because of it. And I can understand that. With an hour-long service, and we're not always on time, and then a 15-minute intermission, and then another 30, 45 minutes to an hour of round table, it makes for a long afternoon. It does. And then if we have a potluck or something after that, it really makes for a long afternoon. I'm beat, and I know everybody else is too. So we're trying to kind of just bring it together a little bit and focus more on the needs of our congregants and talking about what we need to talk about and things we need to work out, rather than spending time on other things that can be dealt with in other ways. Okay. Now, another reason is it's more time to discuss. Personal time to discuss issues, again, so we can concentrate more on what our needs are of our congregants, okay? Our attention span. We can often be overload. We can overload new members, especially with too much pomp and circumstance. They see the collar, and they see the stole, and they see the candles and the cross, and then I'm up there with chalices and bread and wine, and just it can be a little much. So we're going to kind of bring it in a little bit, a little more modern, a little more down to earth. A little more, not so much high and lofty, but a little more face to face. Okay, my God is not high and lofty. My God, I'm made in His image, and I can speak to Him, and He can speak to me, and that's what I want everybody to feel here, that we can speak to each other and learn from each other and support each other. Okay, now this would also, I think, make communion even more special because it's not offered every week. It's not so common. It's something we can look forward to once a month. And I think hopefully enjoy it even more and understand it even more and almost long for it. I enjoy doing communion every week, and I do, but it does make for a long service. So let's try this out and see how it goes, and hopefully this will bring some more people, some more butts into the seats. Save some more souls here, okay? Are there any questions about this? You put this out there again. I think it pretty much covers it all, but anybody? Good? We're all good. Okay. Guess what? That's the end of our, that's going to show this song again. It did it again. I forgot to put the slide in there. Okay, back it up. I did it again. Okay, let me back it. Just have to stay on this other slide for a second. Just stay there for a second, okay. Again, the digs are pretty cool. We're doing a little bit of tweaking, and I think we'll be great on it. We're getting there. It's a small place, folks. We don't have much to work with here, so bear with us. I mean, I think it's pretty cool what we've come up with. So, all right, let us rise for our dismissal.